Starting the American TV 400 presented by Jensen Audio. We'll meet those drivers at this time. Going from row number 14. Again, starting in row number 14 in the Go Navy Chevrolet from Deerfield, Illinois, please welcome Michael Winstead. Row number 13 on the outside, it's the JMI Reliable Recovery Chevrolet from Orland Park, Illinois. Please welcome Boris Yurkovic. Starting on the inside of row 13, it's the Metro Milwaukee Auto Auction Chevrolet from Marshall, Wisconsin, Nathan Haslai. Row 12 in the Sports Now Sports Pagers Chevrolet, number 86 from McFarland, Wisconsin. Please welcome Pete Moore. Going from the inside of row number 12, making his second REMAX Challenge Series start in the Jeff Fuller REMAX Chevrolet from Cambridge, Wisconsin. Please welcome Dale Nottestead. In the Heartline Motorsports Chevrolet from Gilbert's, Illinois, driver of car number 30, please welcome Mark Hartline. Going from the inside of row number 11, making his first career REMAX Challenge Series start, the driver of car number 11. It's the General Repair, a Royal Purple Chevrolet from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Please welcome Josh Vadnais. Outside row number 10, the leading contender for the REMAX Challenge Series Rookie of the Year title. He drives the Matthews Solo Cam Bose Chevrolet from Sparta, Wisconsin. Please welcome Tim Schendel. Driver finished second here in this event a couple years back. He'll go from the inside of row number 10 in the Garrity Engine Chevrolet. Won the Last Chance race last night. He comes to us from South Bend, Indiana. Please welcome J.R. Rohrig. Starting 18th on the grid, a rookie in the REMAX Challenge Series, already with one win to his credit in the 2000 campaign. He drives the Assembly Product Chevrolet from Montello, Wisconsin, the 00 of Jeff Kendall. Going from the inside of row number 9, from Greenfield, Minnesota, the driver of the Jensen Audio Parts Plus Chevrolet, car number 17, please welcome John Lemke. Row number 8, hometown driver. He hails from Roscoe, Illinois, drives the EDC Water Treatment RBR Trucking Pontiac. Driver of car number 42, let's hear it for Matt Milan. Starting from the inside of row number 8, he drives the number 78. It's the Southwest Motorsports Chevrolet, all the way from Oskaloosa, Iowa. It's Curtis Vanderwall. Going from the outside of row number 7, it's the Lisa Thomas Salon Feast Oil Chevrolet. The driver hails from Wheaton, Illinois. It is Eddie Hoffman. Starting from the inside of row number 7, he drives the Structural Transport Wisconsin Holmes Ford Taurus. He hails from Stratford, Wisconsin. The driver of car number 9, please welcome Mark Kraus. Another driver making his first career REMAX Challenge Series start here this afternoon. He'll start on the outside of row number 6. From Webster, Minnesota, it's the Northern Racing Products Ford. Please welcome Jeff Martin. Starting on the inside of row number 6, he drives the Premier Racing Products Chevrolet. The Southwest Motorsports, also a sponsor of that Chevrolet, from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Car number 20, please welcome Johnny Spaw. Row 5 on the outside, your defending REMAX Challenge Series champion. 3 wins to his credit so far in 2000. He drives the Gildan Activewear bumper-to-bumper auto parts Chevrolet. Let's hear it for Brian Hoppy. Had a podium finish here at the Rockford Speedway a couple years back. He drives the G&M Auto Service Ford Taurus. Hails from East Hazelcrest, Illinois. Second generation driver. Let's hear it for Larry Middleton Jr. With the invert, your fast qualifier will go from the outside of row number 4. He drives the Sports Now Sports Pager Chevrolet from Janesville, Wisconsin. One more time, let's hear it for Travis Quapple. Qualified second yesterday afternoon. He hails from Rockford, Illinois, the driver of the EWT Incorporated Avico Oil Chevrolet. How about a nice round of applause for Brad Wagner? Going from the outside of row number 3, a driver pulling double duty here this afternoon. Making his first REMAX Challenge Series start of the 2000 campaign, he drives the Sports Now Sports Pager Chevrolet from Orfordville, Wisconsin. Behind the wheel, the number 87, it's Bobby Wilberg. On the outside of row number 2, another one of those drivers making his first REMAX Challenge Series start of his career. He drives the AFCO Shocks Chevrolet. He hails from Waterford, Wisconsin. Car number 68, Jeff Storm. Starting on the inside of row number 2, the driver of the First Midwest Banks Chevrolet from Davenport, Iowa. Please welcome Justin Dirks. And to the front row, lining up on the outside of row number 1, sponsored by EWT Incorporated and Honeywell. It's a Chevrolet Monte Carlo from DeKalb, Illinois. Please welcome Ron Breeze Jr. And leading the field down to the green flag for the American TV 400, presented by Jensen Audio, is the driver of the Conco Paints Quaker State Chevrolet, a rookie on the tour in 2000. From Eau Claire, Wisconsin, please welcome Paul Menard. Again, those are the 27 drivers slated to take the green flag in the NASCAR REMAX Challenge Series event here this afternoon.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Gentlemen, start your engines. I didn't know that.
Well, the most famous words in motor racing. Jody Deary and Dennis Johnson speaking. The gentleman starts your engines. As the 27 REMAX Challenge Series cars roar to life. Fireworks off of corner number 2. We'll be rolling the cars momentarily. Give an opportunity to clear the track.
It's time to Let's Go Racing, Rockford Speedway. The American TV 400 presented by Jensen Audio.
The last 4 or 5 races which took place at Gateway International back in July, so he needs some good fortune. He's had his share of problems, and his expectations were built up over last year after coming back to a particular type of short track car that he was familiar with last season. But then come into this year, he's a former champion in this division, but has had his share of bad luck. Looking for a good run here this afternoon. Field up in turns 3 and 4, looking for the green flag as we're about set for the start of the American TV 400 presented by Jensen Audio. Turn number 1 on the brake. It's Reese getting the jump to turn number 1 on the outside groove. He tries to move down to the inside of the racetrack. He'll clear Paul Menard as he works to turn number 3. In behind him, looking down low, a challenge for the lead. Down to the inside goes Jeff Storm. He stays in behind him, though, for the moment. Now for second or third on back. They're still double wide on the back straightaway. Boris Jerkovic goes around, spins near the tail end of the pack, continues on, or stops now in the middle portion of the banking as they head back to turn number 1, but the caution flag going to fly here, with just 2 laps complete. Ron Breeze got the jump on the initial green. The garage area off turn number 4 will be a single file restart as they get set to come to the stripe. Green flag goes to the air, up through the gearbox goes Breeze, headed to turn number 1, pulls away by a car length or so. The scramble now on for second on the midpoint of the backstretch. Wilbur tried to look down low to get the run to turn number 3. Blocking his move there was Storm, who occupied the inside of the racetrack at that time. Again, they straighten out single file back into the corner. Breeze, though, even though he has the lead, he's got his hands full and about to approach a lap car as he heads off the end of the backstretch. Michael Winstead slow on the inside of the Speedway. Now will ride onto the apron, give courtesy to all the leaders as they will all go by. Steve Carlson had to check up, though, as he kind of miscalculated things on where to be and had to tuck back into line. But now he goes to work trying to make a challenge for the 5th position to get inside the top 5. Carlson looking down low as he tries to make it stick coming off the corners. Menard good coming off the turns and down the backstretch, but going in is where Carlson gets a run under him. As long as they race door to door there from about Paul Menard on back, and Paul's the 5th place car, it'll enable the front group to pull away, which consists of 4 machines. Breeze right now with Storm directly behind him. You're not going to see really anything out of the ordinary take place as far as a lot of guys making any erratic moves coming off the corner, because it's early in the race. I think at this point you want to get through about the first 50 laps or so. And now trouble in turn number 1. It looks like the machine about set for the restart on lap 20 here at Rockford in the National Short Track Championship. They come to the stripe. Breeze tries to get away from the lap car, will successfully complete the pass going to turn 1. He goes to the outside lane, clears the lapped automobile on the midpoint of the backstretch. Vanderwall to the inside will start to backpedal. He knows now that he can't get back on the lead lap. He'll let the others go by. He was just worried about trying to get in front of Ron Breeze Jr. Jeff Storm really hasn't had a long stretch of green flag run up underneath him to try to challenge for the lead. As he now sits in the 2nd spot, he begins to fall into the clutches of Bobby Wilberg, but Wilberg has his hands full for the time being. Kabapel on his rear deck, changing lanes on the run, trying to get up underneath him to take the spot. The leaders in counter lap traffic off turn number 4. Winstead pulls to the inside yet again as Breeze now watching his backside, sees the front end of the machine of Jeff Storm loom larger in his rearview mirror. Travis Kabapel has thoughts of going to the inside of the racetrack, but it was Wilbert throwing down the block a little early for that. Nevertheless, we stay green as he went down to the inside. Trouble in turn number 1. That is the automobile of Mark Hartline, who hits the outside concrete. Try to get ahead of the leader, Ron Breeze. Pace car diving for pit road. We're about set to go back to green flag racing on lap 34 out of the 400 that make up the distance. They work off the far end of the racetrack. Breeze now tries to get away from Jerkovic. Jerkovic stays with him, though, on the inside of the racetrack. Breeze in the process of that 4-wheel slide. A little bumper car action going on the back straightaway, but they'll clear the outside and try to get by the lap machine of Jerkovic off turn number 4. The front 2 now clear the lap machine. There's trouble in turn number 1. As Michael Winstead, who's rounding out the top 10, is Larry Middleton Jr. Vanderwall and Moore, the 2 lap cars to the inside of the leader, Ron Breeze. They work off the far end of the racetrack. They come down to the stripe. They head to turn number 1. Breeze again good on the restarts, but so is Storm. He'll hang right with him, but he has to clear the lap car first before he can challenge for the lead as they funnel back through turns 3 and 4. It's Storm disposing of the lap machine off turn number 4 as they head back to turn number 1. 2-car breakaway at the front of the field. Breeze with one of those 4-wheel slides up the racetrack and open up a little bit of room on the inside. It won't develop, though, for Storm. He'll get back in line. Little bumper car action further on in the top 5 around the 3rd position. That's where Wilberg now trying to make the back end of his car as wide as possible. A couple of teammates now racing for position as Kabapel closes in from the rear flank, but still can't open up the lane on the bottom side of the Speedway. Thing for Wilberg, he has a couple of lap cars between himself and 2nd place Storm, so he has to get rid of them before he can get up there. But Jerkovic seems to be fast as he heads back to turn number 1 down to the inside of the racetrack, just kind of testing the waters, so to speak. But Storm now about a half a car length behind the leader, Ron Breeze. Eddie Hoffman kind of boxed in traffic, opens up a little bit of room on the inside for Johnny Spall, but Hoffman actually going after the machine of Jeff Martin, who's making his first start in the Remax Challenge Series on the backstretch. This happening around the 11th position. Actually, Hoffman has 12th. He's trying to get 11th away from Martin. Stays in line behind him, at least for the time being, as they head back to turn number 1. Now off turn number 2, but Middleton's the car that's holding him up. He's driving like he's a lap car, working the bottom of the Speedway, but he and his Ford counterpart, Martin, working the low line, while Hoffman wants to go to the outside, but he can't make a pass. He's going to have to sit there for the time being. Challenge for 7th, off turn 4. Down to the inside goes Hoppy, who currently sits 2nd in the championship standings. Moves down low off turn number 2 and now pulls back into line. One car going to the inside trying to clear a lap machine. In front of them is Paul Menard. To the inside on the apron goes Dirks. Down low goes Hoppy. He lays the block on Wagner. A lot of congestion there in turn 1. Middleton escapes, and at the expense of Jeff Martin, Hoffman is able to pick up a spot due to the fact that he was trapped behind a lap car and had to get on the brakes and check up into straightaway, while Hoffman had clear racetrack down to the inside and passed him with no problem. Steve Carlson, his average starting position in the last 5 races, which he has won here at Rockford, he's won 5 in a row, has been from the 11th position, but started today in the 5th position. Kind of surprised he qualified near the front of the field. He usually qualifies anywhere from 16th to about 21st, but now he's just kind of maintaining his position for the moment at this stage of the race. At the hip as the drag race continues. Kabapel will take a position away from Wilberg as he saw the opening at turn number 4. Been actually working on him the last several laps. It's really just a matter of time before he took the spot. Wilberg with his hands full now as he's drifting up the racetrack. He sees Carlson coming in a hurry, so he could lose 2 positions in one fell swoop. For the moment, though, is on the defending side playing some defense, trying to keep Carlson behind him. Former regular here, Matt Milan, competing here in the Remax Series this season. He's onto the backstretch, quickly closing in at a rapid pace.
And Steve Carlson has worked his way up to the 5th spot. A little ways back in the 7th spot, we find Brian Hoppy got around Justin Dirks. Dirks got railroaded on the outside with a bunch of cars that go by him. Now Dirks made contact with the 7 of Martin, bumping and banging early on here in this 400-lap event.
As Dirks had to get on the brakes as the machine of Martin checked up, they almost made contact, or did make slight contact at the start-finish line. Good thing it wasn't into the corner, because that's a sharp angle to make, and both possibly would have went around and hit the wall. Nevertheless, we remain under green here as Ron Breeze continues to show the way. He's worked lap traffic. You would think if he would catch lap traffic, that will enable Storm to close in, but he's actually lengthening the lead that he already has over Storm, and increasing that. Storm still has yet to get around Pete Moore, but will finally dispose of him on the outside in turn number 1 as he went the long way around to get by him. Now he has empty racetrack between himself and the leader, Ron Breeze, but Breeze so far today has had the dominant car, but still a long way to go as we're only about a quarter of a way through this race. This Breeze now heading to turn number 3. He's about to catch another lap machine about a half a straightaway or so ahead of him. About to go a lap down will be Nathan Haslow. Kind of surprised that John Lipke, he ran well here in the spring, has not made much progress since the start of the race, did not actually qualify well, started in row number 9. And is one of the cars that he will be catching to go a lap down. Another one is Nathan Haslow, who left the Frank Motorsports team a few weeks ago after winning at Chicago Motor Speedway in Cicero, Illinois. He too, driving Jerry Gunderman's car this weekend, has struggled most of the weekend. He's about to go a lap down as Breeze quickly closing in. Really, a little bit of clean air would help for Haslow, but he continues to get boxed in some of those cars trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. And Breeze, who is all by himself for the moment, is starting to pull in and doing so in a hurry. Here's Wilberg swinging wide on a lap machine, the 7-time track champion here at Rockford, on a track that seems like he's got a million laps around this place, trying to clear the lap car of Moore back to turn number 1. Carlson follows him through on the outside groove. Jerkovic and Pete Moore, they're actually racing for position. A couple of lap cars going at it. Nevertheless, Wilberg and Carlson pull away, however. Schindel said, go on by, though. I'm not going to hold you up, at least at this stage of the race. Nathan Haslow, the next machine to go a lap down, is closing in as the leader, and he sees him coming, stays to the inside, but he's trying to make a pass on Dirks. Dirks was actually running near the front of the field, but has since backpedaled as he got lost in a couple of shuffles. He's had a frustrating day so far. He took off at the beginning, and at the front straightaway, one car slow going to turn number 1. It looks like a right front tire has gone down for Pete Moore. On the back straightaway, was slow on the front stretch. Have to take a look at it from the right side here when he comes back by, but he's working that high line now, and he now comes off the banking up into the corner. Maybe something is broke and went awry on the front suspension of the car. Tough break for Moore. He's had a frustrating afternoon, making his second stop on to pit road. Blistering pace. Perhaps the best race on the racetrack currently into turn number 1 is between Bobby Wilberg and Steve Carlson. Heads on to the back stretch, gets back in line after taking a look to the outside. Right now, the car not handling to Wilberg's liking for the moment, as he's been working that high groove, but it's drifting up the racetrack, kind of pushing like a snowplow. Down to the inside goes Carlson, but he's not going to force the issue. He'll thread the needle on the other end of the racetrack as he works off turn number 4. I know. Trouble on the back straightaway. Couple of cars make contact. Couple of them are teammates. Jeff Storm along with Nathan Haslow along with Justin Dierks all made contact off turn number 2. Continue straight. Good job and a good piece of driving as all of them grabbed a handful of steering wheel to keep on and pointed in the right direction down the back stretch. Thing about this racetrack, the corners are somewhat wide and sweeping for a quarter-mile racetrack. It's the straightaways where you kind of narrows up. Usually it's the opposite, where the corners are narrow and the straightaways are wide, but here, and that's what's given the mystique about this racetrack over the years. Here's Kvappel. What he wants to do is just kind of get through the traffic, but he does have the cushion off turn number 4 as he works back to turn number 1. Kvappel now works back to turn number 1. Dierks directly behind him, but he's a lap machine as they work on to the back stretch. Kvappel off the end of the back stretch following the lap cars, but he does have a cushion of about 3 of them between himself and Bobby Wilberg along with Steve Carlson.
We understand the 9 car of Mark Kraus goes up on the board. Black flag out for Kraus as his steel rear bumper drags the Speedway. Mark Krause will go a lap down as his crew tends to the rear bumper of that machine.
Crew now on pit road trying to pull away the tail section of the car along with they'll add a first can of 76 racing fuel. No tires as he comes onto pit road. Just the bumper bar on the rear end of the automobile was dragging the racing pavement as he was black flagged, an unscheduled stop for him. A tough break for Krause, who has had his share of bad luck in his last couple of seasons competing in this division. Battle really not for the lead all that hot, but from about third on back, it's a good one. Steve Carlson to the inside of the racetrack off turn number 4, trying to use the lap cars as picks. He used it earlier and worked it to perfection, but right now he's working the low groove, but that's where the slow lap car is of Dierks that enables the machine of Wilberg to pull away by a car length on the outside groove. Paul Menard to the outside groove as he tries to keep the position. Down to his inside is Hoppy. He got a run a moment ago, but kind of backed up a bit off turn number 2. Middleton follows him as well as he occupies the low section of the racetrack. They put the double team on him, and just that quickly you can lose spots here. If you can't get the car to work on the bottom, you're simply not going to have much luck. Right now, that's the case for Menard as he got drop kicked and lost 2 spots in that process. He's back to around the 8th position. About to complete the 1/4 mark of the race. But this stage there's only been one leader, and that's Ron Breeze Jr. He shows the way over Jeff Storm, who sits in the 2nd spot. He's done a good job here so far today, making his first appearance here in the Remax Challenge Series. He runs the Mars Series late model cars, kind of similar to these type vehicles on a regular basis, and as a rookie in that division was leading earlier on in that race earlier on in the day. He went off into turn number 3 while leading the way and appeared to be headed to victory lane. After a couple of lap cars got together, he slid in the oil and went to the outside wall and got in the wreck as well. Here's a challenge for position. Middleton opens up the inside groove as he saw it midway down the backstretch and seeked opportunity and got it. Accepted the invitation, gave the thank you sign, and passed Hoppy for the spot on the backstretch as he pulled away by a car length. But still, his trouble's not over as he's still got more lap traffic to deal with. That's the thing here. You're almost always going to be around race cars no matter what, whether they're for position or lap cars all day long, especially in a race with the length of this, which is 400 laps. Steve Carlson, once he passed Bobby Wilberg, he was able to pull away, move Carlson up to a 4th position, move Wilberg back to the number 5 spot. The thing is, for Middleton, he still has traffic to deal with. If he can get by them, but the task is not going to be an easy one, he could probably catch Wilberg. He's the car on the move at the present time here in this race. Working into turn number 3, he's got Hoppy directly behind him, but he passed him a moment ago. The reason why he's staying with him is because of lap cars, which are racing in double wide formation. He's trying to punch the holes off the corner. Hoppy takes a look, almost a 3-wide situation. It wouldn't work though. Back to turn number 1, Dierks to the inside of the racetrack. Not had a good afternoon, almost 2 laps down, I do believe, if memory serves me correctly. Again, it's Ron Breeze Jr. leading. 2nd belongs to Travis Kavappel. 3rd is Jeff Storm. Running in the 4th position is Steve Carlson, and 5th is Bobby Wilberg. That's your top 5. Running in the 6th spot is Larry Middleton Jr. 7th belongs to Brian Hoppy. 8th position is Paul Menard. 9th is Eddie Hoffman. Running in the 10th spot, I do believe, would be Johnny Spall, but have to check on that in a moment to clarify that.
Keep an eye on the 87 of Bobby Wilberg down the front straightaway right now. We noticed a couple of laps ago that Wilberg's machine with little puffs of smoke off the back end of the 87. So keep an eye on Bobby Wilberg and see if he can make it the rest of the way. Just under 300 laps to go. It'll be a long 300 laps for Bobby Wilberg at this rate.
Back to turn number 1, still more traffic in front of the race leader, Ron Breeze Jr. Johnny Spall, I believe he's the 10th place car, about to go a lap down. Works to turn number 3, but stays directly behind him for the moment. He's just trying to be as patient as he can now because he's put distance on everybody else, but if he gets held up just the least little bit, that lead will quickly evaporate in a hurry. Off turn 2, Kabapel now swinging wide of the lap car of Kraus. From there back, here's Jeff Storm applying the front bumper to the machine of Kendall, who holds him up on the inside or outside lane, I should say. Martin was already there filling the hole on top of him, so he had to stay to the outside there for the moment. Badness directly behind him as well, but Carlson's the car kind of boxed in for the moment. He's trying to get through lap traffic and clear John Lemke. Stays behind him. Martin's to the inside. He'll continue to backpedal. To the outside lane goes Carlson, trying to clear the machine of Martin on the midpoint of the back straightaway. Finally gets by. One machine who's running up near the front of the field, running in the top 5, was Bobby Wilberg. He appears to be headed to pit road. Slow down to the inside in turns 3 and 4. As he will now head off the banking up into the corner, come to pit road to the attention of his crew. Saw a little smoke trailing out from underneath the car. It dissipated, but then at that time he slowed dramatically and will now come to the attention of his crew. They go over the wall in a hurry and a frantic pace. They will take off the hood and look down inside the engine compartment and continue to investigate the problem. Should he retire from the race, he would be the 7th car to retire from this event here today. Pete Moore also behind the wall, along with J.R. Roaring, Michael Winstead, along with Hartline. He's behind the wall and Wallback as well. Haven't talked much about Eddie Hoffman so far this afternoon. Did not qualify actually that well. Has not qualified actually well for the last couple of races here at Rockford. Started 16th in the spring, but he ended up finishing 3rd. Right now runs in the top 10, having a respectable effort, just kind of maintaining his position. Now he's starting to reel in Brian Hoppe. He's cut off a couple of car links the last several laps around the racetrack, but still a lot of work to do before he reels him in. As Martin now makes a stop out onto the pit lane, an unscheduled stop as the crew now a couple of pumps on the jack and the car's already off the ground. They will go to work on the right side, change right side tires and put on fresh rubber. But pitting under the green flag, you're going to at least lose about 3 laps at the least. Here's Hoffman approaching the automobile of John Lemke. He's not been a factor here this afternoon. Works to turn number 1 position as they work to turn number 3. Down to the inside goes Carlson, trying to get around a lapped automobile of Haslow as he works back to turn number 1. He's down to the inside of the racetrack. He'll move up off the corner, down on the back straightaway. Now has thoughts of moving back into line. A little contact there, kind of try to root him out of the groove, so to speak. Carlson now gets back in line as he heads back to turn number 1. Here's the leader, Breeze, now clearing the lap machine. Saw the opening at the exit of turn number 4 to go back to turn 1 to make the pass on Spall. Puts him a lap down. Now he starts to close in on Paul Menard. Man, this is one of those racetracks. If you get your car set up, you can embarrass a lot of people and make shambles out of the field. And that's exactly what Breeze is doing at this point. Paul Menard currently in the running order, led him to the green flag here this afternoon, about to go a lap down. The handling not quite right on his car and hasn't been since the start of the race as he fell back in a hurry. Closing in is Ron Breeze, about 2 car lengths in the rears, does that little 4-wheel slide up the racetrack in turns 3 and 4, starts to draw ever so closer to the back deck of Menard's car. For now, they're running single file and approaching more lapped automobiles, but are cars that are a lap or more down. As Martin's to the inside, he's about 4 laps down in the rears of leader Ron Breeze as he'll swing wide of him at the stripe to clearing back to turn 1. He'll follow the path behind Paul Menard to the outside groove on the midpoint of the backstretch. Brad Wagner is directly in front of him, kind of holding him up. That's why Breeze, who has started to grow impatient though through the traffic, pressing hard and is ready to pounce on Menard to put him a lap down should the opportunity arrive. Now it has, as they've cleared those cluster of machines that were racing double wide a couple of rows deep a moment ago. Hard puts him a lap down. Brad Wagner now coming on the pit road, seeing a lot of guys come on the pit road unscheduled, however, go to work on the right side. His tires now being put on the right side as they come to the attention of their crew. This is one of those racetracks where you can actually go about 300 laps on a tank of fuel, so fuel mileage is not a question. Also in is Matt Milan. He's on the pit road, the rookie driver here in Remax Challenge competition, as the attrition rate starts to build. Due to the fact that Ron Breeze was caught up in some of that traffic and was bottled up and unable to shake himself free, went into turn number 1 and cleared the lap cars, but Vappel did so as well and did so a little bit quicker. Heads off the end of the back stretch, hangs the fender underneath Paul Menard. If he can get by him, that would give him clear sailing as far as to catch the race leader. Larry Middleton applies the front bumper to his car and gets into the back of Dierks, turns him around as Dierks gets the car 3/4 of the way straight along the front straightaway and continues on. Taking him a long time, but Eddie Hoffman has finally reeled in Brian Hoppy. He's been working on him pretty good as far as to cut off the distance, and finally has. He could be one of the faster cars on the racetrack, but just a poor qualifying effort has had him in the back of the field and had to play catch-up for about the last 45 minutes or so. Here's Hoffman on the rear deck lid of the machine of Hoppy off turn 4. For now, the two Chevrolets going to run nose to tail back into the turn. They'll work down to the inside, now back to the outside as they had to go wide on Jerkovic, who made another stop on the pit road. Has had his problems today after bringing out the initial yellow, spinning in turn number 1. Eddie Hoffman still growing closer to the rear deck lid of Hoppy. They have to clear the lap car of Dierks back to turn number 1. He'll give some courtesy to the cars racing on the lead lap. Little tap and up the racetrack goes Hoppy. He opens up the lane. Here comes Hoffman down low. Now he'll move up the racetrack. Hoppy into the gray area of the racetrack, slows along the front straightaway. Smoke now coming on the right front as it starts to billow out. Slow atop the racetrack on the back straightaway. Some of the lap cars even going to pass him in turn number 3, but he's slow. Trouble. Tough break for the man currently second in the championship standings of the Remax Challenge Series. He looks like he's going to have to pit in a hurry. It looked like some debris being spotted on the racetrack. However, we remained under green, at least for now. But the caution flag about to wave and finally will on lap 51 as Breeze continues to show the way. But Hoppy kind of got rooted out of the
that could be in jeopardy today as the leaders come pit side. Hoppy, Breeze, Carlson, Quapple all come into the pits. Watch the pit stop action in front of you on the front pit. When the pace car gets around to the backside, the back pits will open. Carlson gets right side tires along with fuel. Travis Quapple gets rear tires on the 35 machine. Hoppy in the 51, his crew goes to the 8 of the right side of that machine. In the back pits, we see fourth running Larry Middleton Jr. in, along with Eddie Hoffman.
So quick pit work puts Carlson back onto the racetrack in the first position, I believe. I have to check that as far as all the leaders, how they came off pit road, but I do believe it was Carlson winning the race off pit road, followed out by Ron Breeze Jr., third coming off the pit lane. Eddie Hoffman, good pit work for him as they bust off a good stop. His team does, puts him third. Fourth will be Travis Kabapel, and Jeff Storm will be the top 5 off the pit lane. As that on pit road, Brian Hoppy still on the pit lane. We'll get an update there shortly. First, let's go back to Green Flag Racing off turn number 4 down the stripe. Carlson gets the jump on the lap car of Milan, heads to turn number 1. Breeze now in behind him trying to grab the spot, but now he just wants to get by the lap car first and finally does. Eddie Hoffman now trying to clear his way through the traffic. They work that outer groove off turn number 4 as they come off the corner down to the stripe. It's a front 2 now that have broken away from everybody else, which consists of Carlson and Ron Breeze Jr. Back from third on back. That's where the hard scrambling on going as I speak. Is Eddie Hoffman trying to keep the spot right now. He's got his hands full. Kabapel wants to work the low groove, but he loses momentum to the exit of the corners and starts to fall backward. Jeff Storm also there, along with Larry Middleton. Paul Menard, who went a lap down there just prior to that caution flag, about 10 laps prior to the last yellow. Directly behind him, along with Brad Wagner, who made an unscheduled stop onto pit road. Here's Kabapel down low, challenging for third, trying to get up underneath Hoffman. It won't work going into the corners. They head back onto the eastern end of the racetrack. Now Larry Middleton trying to make a move going into the corner, trying to grab the 5th spot. They make contact through the corner, slipping and sliding around as Storm leaves the lane open, but now protects the outside, at least for now, and pokes the nose ahead of Middleton on the backstretch. That battle continues on. Middleton trying to get it, and it hasn't been for lack of effort. Battle for the lead is kind of stabilized for the time being, as it's about 6 car lengths between first and second, which is Steve Carlson over Ron Breeze Jr. sitting in the second position. Got a lot of daylight on third place, Eddie Hoffman, who's 8 car lengths ahead of the machine of Hoffman in the third spot. Then directly behind him, that's where the log jam begins, back for around fourth. That's where Kabapel, feeling a challenge from behind, looks at his rear view. Middleton there, all over the rear deck lid. Again, that Chevy and Ford battle for position off the corner. Down to the inside is Middleton. Kabapel now losing the spot as he gets pushed back in behind him, but will now try to get back to the inside quick enough to close off the lane from Jeff Storm in 3. Middleton, now that he's ditched the car of Kabapel, he'll lay his sights now on Hoffman. Didn't take him long to reel him in down to the inside lane. He got some track position as his crew busted off a good stop and got him up near the front of the field after being near the tail end of the top 10 prior to going on to the pit lane. He'll work to turn number 3 now and make the car stick. If he can do that, he'll have it covered. Drag race on for the spot going into the corner. Again, this is the battle for third. They almost make contact and do make slight contact. Hoffman says, it's too early to be doing that. I'll let you go on by and pick up the position. But now, if Middleton is going to catch Ron Breeze Jr. or even get to Steve Carlson, he's first going to have to deal with Ron Breeze Jr. Right now is a full straightaway behind, but he's clear of the traffic, doesn't have anybody to race for position or have to deal with any lap cars, as he'll now try to track down the front 2. They're encountering the lap machine off the corner, but it won't be no problem. They'll clear the car of Matt Milan going to turn number 3. So will Breeze, as Carlson and Breeze now clear of the traffic for a good bit, as they're about a straightaway or so clear of traffic off turn 4. Hoffman up into the outside lane, up into the gray area of the racetrack. Don't believe he got into the wall, but checked up a bit. It enabled the lap machine to close in, which is Lemke to his inside. He can't afford for that to happen. Kabapel now closing quickly from the rear flank off 4. Steve Carlson with a car length edge over Breeze, as Breeze has actually started to close in. He kind of fell off a bit there about the first 15 laps after the restart, which took place on lap 154. Off the corner again, that battle rages on for the third position, or make that for the fourth spot. That's where Cavapo is looking to the inside on the backstretch underneath Hoffman. Gets back in line, but stays on the rear deck lid. He doesn't lose any ground. He just doesn't gain any either. Hanging the fender down low at the midpoint of the backstretch is Cavapo, working on Hoffman through 3 and 4. He'll draw even off the corner, but now lose ground on the straightaway, back through the turn on turns 1 and 2. Driving up the racetrack is Hoffman. He likes that groove. He's been working it for about the last 50 laps or so. Doing a good job at least holding on to the spot after checking up a turn number 4 for some reason. But for the moment, he got his hands full in turn 1. Planting the car to the bottom and making it stick is Cavapo, trying to grab the position. He'll stay there for the moment off the end of the back stretch, put the fender up underneath him. But again, can't draw all the way even, but they've drag raced a couple of times. It's just Hoffman getting the upper hand continuously. Now Cavapo finally got a run in turn number 3. Will draw as even as he's done all afternoon on Hoffman back to turn number 1. They're starting to slip slide around as Hoffman doing that 4-wheel slide. Trouble in turn number 3. Larry Middleton up against the outside wall. He and a lap machine getting together, which is Matt Milan. Hard contact into the concrete off turn number 4. Middleton now sitting up against the outside retaining wall in turn.
Service. Ford Taurus of Larry Middleton Jr. come down before the front, before you on the front.
They come to the stripe, green flag goes to the air, the restart on lap 195, back to turn number 1, gone like a jackrabbit is Carlson, clearing the lap car on the backstretch, which is Limke, who's to the inside of the racetrack. Here goes Breeze to the outside, cutting off the lane down low as he pinched him off at the exit of turn number 4 on the bottom of the banking. Breeze now trying to settle in line. He and Carlson trying to check out, but that's not going to be the case this time. It could be 4 of them linked together that are racing in the top 5. Third position belongs to Hoffman, who's directly behind the machine of Breeze. Directly behind him is Cavapo, who's directly behind Hoffman's automobile. Then in the 5th spot is Storm. He's done a good job all afternoon, kept his car out of trouble, been patient all day long, has not done anything erratic. Tell you what, he's got a lot of experience and talent that kind of belies his experience in these type of vehicles, and doing a good job so far today, running in the 5th position. A look down inside, the battle picking up like it did before the caution flag flew between Eddie Hoffman and Travis Cavapo. He's trying to move to the inside of the racetrack on the backstretch to hang the fender underneath him to grab the spot. He works that low groove and drives in deep, but uses the car up by the time they exit the corners. That's where Hoffman's been better than Cavapo all afternoon, is to the exit of the turns. He won't get the spot this time on the backstretch. He gets back in line again. Steve Carlson, the race leader currently here at Rockford Speedway. He took the lead on pit road. Trouble off turn number 2. One car spins to the entrance to pit road on the backstretch side. That is Madness, who now goes around the field working in turn number 1. Looked like they were going to race back. So Vadnais, bringing out the most recent caution, is now back out on the speedway after visiting pit road and spinning off turn number 2. He didn't hit anything. Slow on the restart, trying to stay out of the way. Carlson gets the jump. He'll try to move to the inside, but Breeze is not going to move down there because the lap car was already to the bottom of the speedway. They shake free of the traffic. They'll funnel through turns 3 and 4. It's Carlson again leading by a car length over Breeze. Interesting thing now is to see if Travis Cavapel, one car up out of the groove, and that is the lap machine of Jeff Kendall. He makes contact with Justin Dirks trying to find his place back in line, but the door shuts in a hurry. He can't beat it back down to the inside in time. Kraus now gives him a little bit of lane to work with as he yields the position down low, and Kendall finally gets by and gets back into line, but he was to the outside in a close call after making contact with Dirks. We continue under green, back to turn number 3. Three-car breakaway at the front of the field with Carlson leading by a car length. Second is Ron Breeze Jr. and Cavapel is third. The interesting thing now is, does Cavapel have anything for the front two? He had been boxed in and racing for position in some hard scrambles. It took him a long time to get around Hoffman, but now he's pulled away and got rid of some of those lap cars as well. And now he's laying his sights within a car length in second place, Ron Breeze Jr. Passing either one of them is one thing, or is catching him is one thing, passing is another. He has caught him, but the next job at hand is trying to pass him and take the spot. I think passing one fast car is enough, but passing two of them, man, that could be too much to ask. Eddie Hoffman and Paul Menard now exchanging a little bit of sheet metal there momentarily at the exit of turn number 4 as they now work back to turn number 1. Hoffman still working that high groove, about to lose a position. Madness along with Jeff Kendall now check up. Madness does. The machine of Kendall spins, backs down to the apron of the racetrack. He's trying to get refired to get pointed in the right direction in time, but the caution flag is going to wave as his machine sits idle for the moment. The back end and the back tires in the grass.
Number 2, one of our 5 lead lap cars, Hoffman, trying to stay on the lead lap.
On pit road as Eddie Hoffman comes through the backstretch side of the pit area, comes to the attention of his crew. It's about right, though, him coming to pit road about lap 225, or lap 221, I should say. I talked with him this morning. They figure they could go to around a little past halfway before they could come down pit road to stop, and right side tires is on. Quick pit work now. The jockey's dropped, spins the tires. He's bowed back up. 29. They head off into turn number 3. It's going to be Nathan Haslow along with Mark Kraus. Kurt Vanderwall to the inside, another lap car as they work off turn number 4. Back to the stripe, green flag goes in the air as they head back off to turn number 1. Down to the inside of the racetrack goes Carlson, disposes of the lap car of Haslew. Here comes Breeze now, flat-footing it on the backstretch. Got the car almost sideways, but the lap car was there to the inside, but nevertheless does get by the lap machine and doesn't even lose any ground to race leader Carlson back to turn 1. Cavapel going to the outside. He gets contact as he makes contact with the machine of Haslow, who's to the inside of the racetrack, trying to punch a hole for his teammate, perhaps. Jeff Storm to get by. Haslow has right front fender damage as the right front fender is kind of dangling in the breeze as he continues to circulate around the racetrack. Won't be surprised if he gets the black flag in the next couple of laps. Nevertheless, off turn 4, everybody for the most part throughout the field single file as they head back to turn number 1. Still a car length separate. As Haslow now getting the signal to come into the pits, getting the black flag, the right front fender, and the hood is kind of buckled and peeled back on the right front as well. The right side of the hood as he's now down to the apron. He realizes it's time to come to pit road. He will now head to the attention of his crew. They will move the hood, along with remove the right front fender, which was dangling in the breeze as he made rounds around the speedway. Back up front, it appears that Ron Breeze has been just as quick as Carlson. He's just been unable to get by. For the moment, it's been follow the leader because they've been tied together like beads on a string, the front 3 have. Eddie Hoffman, who came in under that last caution to get right side tires and then came back to turn number 3, tried to clear some of the traffic. He's kind of just boxed in there for the moment, has to ride and do the best with the cars that he's being dealt with. Now trying to get to the inside of the racetrack, but gets by Justin Dirks, who's been involved in a couple of skirmishes throughout the day. Up front, though, the front 3 have pulled away from 4th place Storm and left him behind as they head on to the backstretch and now into turn 3. It's still Carlson showing the way. In second is Ron Breeze Jr. Third is Travis Cavapel. Kabapel's kind of been one of the players here earlier on in this race. He's just been boxed up in traffic. This has been kind of the first time that he's had a clear shot. He's trying to take a shot and get the position from second place Ron Breeze Jr. 3 wide there for a moment with John Limke along with Johnny Spall and Mark Kraus, but nevertheless they continue on after somebody had to give, and it was Spall who checked up first off 2. Front 3 are tightly together with Carlson leading. Second is Ron Breeze Jr. Running third is Travis Kabapel. Sitting in the 4th spot is Jeff Storm, who trails the front 3 by about 15 car lengths or so. Then it's a long way back to 5th place Eddie Hoffman sitting in the number 5 spot, and he's got lap traffic surrounding him. And I believe so far that's the only cars that are on the lead lap at this stage of the race on lap 243. Carlson, who has been challenged numerous times today, has done a good job of holding on to the top spot. As he looks in his rear view and sees Breeze right there, who stays with him, has done the last 100 laps or so after leading the first 150 laps of the race. Paul Menard swinging wide of Tim Schindel, trying to get by him at the top of the banking off turn number 4. Schindel is stronger on the front straightaway and pokes the nose ahead of him back to turn 1. Tries to move up the racetrack, but he does open the lane down to the inside for Vanderwall, heading to turn number 3 off the end of the back stretch as he'll plant the car firmly to the bottom. Jeff Kendall into the outside groove, stays there and allows the traffic to bypass him. A nice job by Kendall, keeping the car off the wall and letting the traffic go by before he gets back in line. He's already spun once today and spun down in between turns 1 and 2 after he and Madness got together. He then spun and got stuck in the grass down in between turns 1 and 2, but then managed to get himself out. Travis Kabapel may have used up all his tires because he was working on the machine of Breeze, but then lost ground. He was being sort of aggressive trying the outside and inside lanes, whichever was available, but has now fell back a couple of car lengths. The leader, Carlson, along with Breeze, following the lap traffic. Back into turn number 1 as they will have to go to the high side of the racetrack on the back straightaway to clear Kendall. Kendall's slower than most cars on the Speedway right now. Expect him to go to pit road shortly as he's slowed dramatically along the straightaway, or could have just been doing that to allow the leaders to go on by and then pick up the pace. Matt Milan, who was involved with Larry Middleton up in turn number 3 on lap 87. When they got together, Middleton, who was unable to continue, his afternoon is done after running in the top 5. Milan now coming on to pit road. He's been on pit road several times throughout the day, and I believe he's going to park it for the afternoon as his day has now come to an abrupt end. Jerkovic, the next car to go yet another lap down. He brought out the initial caution flag here this afternoon after spinning in turn number 1. Carlson reeling him in fairly quickly as he heads to turn number 3. Directly behind him, though, about a car length or so, is Ron Breeze Jr., about 8 car lengths back to Travis Kabapel in 3rd. Back to the 4th spot is Jeff Storm, trying to see the progress and tracking the progress of Eddie Hoffman. He's not making up much ground. He's losing a whole bunch now, sitting in the 5th spot. He desperately wants a caution. He's been trying to adjust on it all afternoon. He's pitted twice so far today, and it hasn't even helped him. Steve Carlson, who has won 5 races in a row here at the Rockford Speedway, has won 6 national short track championships, looking for win number 7 here this afternoon in this race. If he wins here today, it would be the first time that he has won it 3 years in a row. Off turn number 2 now as he continues to pace the field around the Speedway, leading Ron Maurice Jr. in the 2nd spot. They're beginning to close in more lap traffic. The longer you stay green, the bigger the packs of traffic is. That's the case now as they're coming up on about 7, make that about 8 cars of lap machines directly in front of him. One of those automobiles is Eddie Hoffman, continuing to lose ground. If we continue to stay under green, it's just a matter of time before Carlson reels him in. Right now, he's got Vanderwall to worry about to reel him in as he's doing it fairly quickly, about a quarter of a straightaway or so behind him and catching him, but Bree stays right with him. I think he's waiting for him to catch that traffic before he tries to make another look to the inside or pass to try to get by him. Working lap traffic through turns 3 and 4, swings to the outside, got a car into the wall, same spot that Kendall almost got into the concrete earlier on, smacks the concrete, glances off of it. We remained under green, but he's going to stay to the outside of the racetrack before some of the other cars go below him to pass. Nice job by Kendall not collecting anybody else because he was surrounded by about 3 automobiles off turn number 2 when he glanced off the concrete in the corner. Carlson still working the lap traffic, threading the needle and tiptoeing between turns 1 and 2. Dives off the banking, sees an opportunity to go to the inside of Menard as he yields the lane down low in the racetrack in 3 and 4. Will make the pass to grab the position or put him a lap down. That's Carlson, the leader. This time, Bree's not able to stay with him through the traffic. He's getting held up, trying to move away from Vanderwall along with Madness to go to the outside of him, but he's now in a big cluster off turn 4.
Brian Hoppy rejoins the chase. 100 or so laps behind the leaders, but Hoppy never one to give up, chasing those valuable RE/MAX Challenge Series points. Great to see Hoppy and his crew able to make those repairs as he rejoins the chase.
Driver a lap down. Eddie Hoffman within about 3 car lengths or so, heading back to turn number 1. This last stretch of green flag racing for Hoffman has been a handful. He's been in the pits twice today to take on fresh rubber, and he's been adjusting on the car as the day goes on, but still hasn't got it to where he wants it to be, and it's starting to fade as he heads to turn number 1, because closing in is Carlson, the leader, trying to put him a lap down. The thing for Carlson, he wants to put on as much lap on everybody as possible, lapping as much cars as possible. So if something happened late in the race, he has a security blanket behind him. Madness now on pit road yet again here at Rockford Speedway. Dives off the banking up into the corner. Moves on to the pit lane. His day apparently is over. He's been in a couple of skirmishes throughout the day, and something has obviously subsided on his car.
Battle for position. Jeff Storm in the 68 looks underneath Travis Quappo off of corner number 4. Storm will get the spot. He'll go third in that 68 machine. Meanwhile, up front, Steve Carlson continues to lead by about 5 car lengths over Ron Breeze Jr. Closing in on lap 300 here of the 400 that make up the American TV 400. Again, presented by Jensen Audio. Carlson continues to lead up the back straightaway, followed by Ron Breeze Jr. Third place, Jeff Storm, now entering corner number 3. A little ways back to Travis Quappo. Quappo slipping back somewhat through the field. Those 4 cars, the only 4 that remain on the lead lap.
In Quappo's day, you can kind of describe it sort of along the line of an accordion. He's been to the front, he's been to the back as far as the top 5 is concerned. He's been up to around 3rd. He's been as far back as around 6th, so he's kind of had a frustrating day. He's dodged a couple of bullets, almost made contact with some lap machines earlier on, was involved in a couple of 3-wide instances, but nevertheless continues to run in the 4th position, but started a fade here in the late going here at Rockford.
Kurt Vanderwall up in the wall, up in corner number 2. Second yellow that
on Steve Carlson's machine. Also in is Travis Quappo, along with Jeff Storm. He is in. Ron Breeze Jr. also in. Breeze is now the first car to leave pit road, but he won't win the race out of the pits. A drag race at the stripe decided in kind of a photo finish, as Breeze actually was the first car to leave his pit stall. It'll be car length separate the front 2 between Steve Carlson, Travis Quappo. They could be trying to settle it among themselves. Ron Breeze, the furthest he's been behind all day long. He's been first and he's been second, but he hasn't been third today. Got his hands full for the moment, losing touch with the front 2, while Carlson pulls away from Quappo in second off turn 4. But Ron Breeze Jr., he has cleared the lap traffic and has nothing but clear racetrack ahead of him before he catches the front two machines of Carlson and Kamappel, but did not get a good restart and got caught up in some of the traffic. At the exit of turn 4, he'll grab the spot back to turn 1 to try to get down to the inside, but he has to worry about Hoffman, who closes in from his backside after they went through and around the lap car of Lemke. Good on the short runs, the restarts, the long runs as well, makes no difference through traffic or in clean air. Right now, Boris Jerkovic, but sees Carlson coming. It's too late to start holding him up now. If he was going to do that, it would be in the early portion of the race, but now he'll yield space to the outside for Carlson to make the move, but good thing he did it at the straightaway because he'd have had to worry about him in the turn. And Breeze Jr., who was losing ground, maybe starting to catch the second place car of Travis. That shouldn't be a problem for him, but if he's doing it just slowly, maybe cutting off maybe a half, that's not going to be enough. The race will be over by the time he reels him in. So to speak, at this stage of the race. Third place, Ron Breeze trying to track him down for the moment back to turn number 1. He's kind of stabilized the last couple of laps around the Speedway, kind of maintaining his position. As I said, Breeze has not been this far back all day long. He led the first 151 laps before yielding the lane, or yielding the top spot over on a cycle of pit stops on pit road to Steve Carlson. Carlson off turn number 2 now with a little bit of daylight ahead of him. Lap traffic looms ahead, though, about a quarter of a straightaway in front of him. That's where Jeff Kendall, along with Jeff Martin, Tim Schindel, and the car that's many laps down in second to Carlson in the championship standings, Brian Hoppy sits. Hoppy out there just making laps. If he'd have stayed behind the wall, he'd have gave up a lot more than what he's going to lose already. Paul Menard done a fairly good job running up in the top 10. Got shuffled at the beginning of the race and had been playing catch-up for most of the afternoon. Did a fine job here this afternoon. One of the few cars that don't have some sort of a nick, dent, or ding. Because usually when you come here in a place like this, you're going to have several donuts. That's if you're lucky. Back to turn number 1 and the inside of the racetrack. Hoppy now moving down low, but he's now punching the holes for Menard, but Menard decides that wasn't going to work anyway on the inside, so he went to the outside groove to clear Schindel. 2 rows deep, a double wide racing directly ahead of the race leader as they head back to turn number 1. He's to the inside of the racetrack, but knows he's going to catch him rapidly. I think he's kind of backing off just a bit to catch him slowly, hoping something may happen beforehand so he can maybe get a caution or so and have another restart and not have to worry about these lap cars. For the moment, he's back in between turns 1 and 2. Still, that lead has kind of stayed the same over the course of since the restart of about 6 car lengths between himself and second place Kvappel in the second position. Third belongs to Ron Breeze. As I said, he's a car length behind him. He's now starting to chop the distance on Kvappel. He's now back on the comeback trail, so to speak, after being behind on the restart. Right up on the rear deck lid for the moment. They'll go back into the corner, almost nose to tail racing, but when Breeze went low, cutting it to the left was Kvappel. He slipped coming off the corner. Down to the inside comes Breeze. He's not going to make the pass this time, but the rear tires, which plays a factor here because they spin when you hit the throttle, now they're starting to show as far as Kvappel's machine is concerned. He's not getting the grip necessary on the rear to come off the turn. He's slipping off when he hits the gas. That's opening up the inside lane for Breeze as he goes back to turn number 1, but the lap cars are complicating matters for now on the backstretch. Winless so far this year, didn't even win last year after he drove for Jerry Gunderman's team. He's, for the most part, driven for his family and is back with his family this year in the 2000 Remax Challenge Series season. Still looking for his first win of 2000. He won back in 1998, I believe. To this date, he has 2 wins in his Remax Challenge Series career. As Ron Breeze continues to work on the machine of Kvappel, also there and add him to the equation, which is Eddie Hoffman, who's trying to get his lap back. He's currently sitting 5th in the running order and has been there for most of the afternoon. He gained a lot of position from the outset of the race, but then kind of just tapered off once he got to around the 5th spot and ended up losing a lap on that last stretch of green flag racing as Carlson, the leader, put him a lap down. He goes back to turn number 1. He's in there along with Ron Breeze. Ron Breeze and Kvappel racing for position. Kvappel has it, but Breeze wants it in 3. Still saying single file for the moment. Now he's changing lanes, kind of been experimenting with several different lines the last few laps around the racetrack than what Kvappel's running. Kvappel, for the most part, this afternoon has run the high groove of the racetrack. Right now is opening up the inside. The car's doing that 4-wheel slide up the racetrack at the top of the banking. Here comes Breeze down low, challenging for the spot. He's got the fender underneath him. He's trying to pull even. While that's happening, it's enabling the leader, Carlson, to pull away even more. Now swinging wide on a lap car and clearing the machine of Sid Schindel, who is several laps down in 3 and 4. They'll clear that machine as Carlson continues to set a pace. Back to turn number 1. The exchange has been made there as Breeze, as I said, picked up 2nd. He finally got a run up underneath him. Hoffman, who's trying to get his lap back, 5th in the running order, passed him as well. Talking about Kvappel, who got shuffled to the outside. For Hoffman, his car has been a handful this afternoon. Jeff Kendall, the 00, directly behind the number 35, has been involved in several accidents. In fact, been responsible for 2 caution flags that have waved here this afternoon. One of those is when he spun down in between turns 1 and 2 and through the grass. Boris Jerkovic, who brought out the initial caution flag of the day, directly in front of Jeff Storm. He's done a good job all afternoon. Give a tip of the cap to him. Kept the car out of trouble. Ron Breeze now laying his sights on the machine of Steve Carlson, kind of reminiscent of what we saw in the spring with Carlson running first. Second was Breeze there as he came up a tad short in the race back in March here at Rockford. Right now, setting his sights on the leader. He's got 2 lap cars to deal with. Carlson going to try to use that to his advantage. Here's Schindel looking out on the low side, trying to make a pass on Dierks, but he'll pull down low. He's not going to hold up Breeze. Breeze fast on the outside. It makes no difference to him. Whichever's available, he'll make the pass. He accepts the invitation up high and goes the long way around to get by him. He'll move up high as he washes wide up off the corner, trying to clear Dierks' car into turn number 3 and gets by him with no problem as he works off turn number 4. Schindel diving down low, almost a close call there as Hoffman was directly behind him, trying to see which lane to follow. Got held up by Schindel. He tried to go inside. He'll win the exchange on the low side of the racetrack underneath Dierks in 3. Now the battle's on for the lead, or our attention's on for the lead right now as Ron Breeze trying to track down the leader, Steve Carlson, on the backstretch. He's now clear of the traffic, pulling within 8 car lengths. Carlson knows it's coming. Comes Carlson swinging wide on Lemke. Lemke going to try to get up on the apron and leave plenty of room in the middle of the speedway for Breeze as he finally gets by but loses a car length in the process. What was a 4 car length differential is now about 5. Any difference, you're still going to encounter lap traffic. It's always going to be that way here at Rockford. On the back stretch is Carlson encountering the lap machine of Paul Menard. He's done a good job so far today, the rookie in Renax competition, as I've talked about him earlier on. He's in the middle part of the racetrack, and Carlson coming in a hurry, but so is Breeze, so he's going to go being pushed, so to speak, as far as to work the lap traffic. He's done it to perfection so far today, going the high side around to make the pass on the machine of Menard in turn number 1. 2 car lengths back as Breeze up off the turn. He'll now stay with him on the backstretch. This time when he got around that lap car, he did not lose any ground. I didn't know if he was going to say something. Okay. Battle raging on for the lead. The hottest part of the racetrack right now for the top spot with Carlson in turn number 1. He'd been working the lap traffic and clearing it, but so is Breeze. Perhaps fresher tires for him as he works to turn number 3. Perhaps the machine of Carlson used up the tires working through the traffic while Breeze kind of held back. That must have been the reason why he's about 12 car lengths behind there earlier on. Right now he's on the rear deck lid of the machine of Carlson in turn number 3. Right now single file through 3 and 4. Carlson with the lead, Breeze in second. 374 laps are complete out of the 400 that make up the distance. We're in the final stages here in the National Short Track Championship at Rockford, Illinois. Steve Carlson on the bottom of the speedway, kind of running a different line this time, trying to see if he can increase or get away from Ron Breeze. This time he goes to turn number 1. You can virtually fold a blanket over the top 2 because you can visually see the lead diminishing for Carlson. Carlson off the bottom of the speedway, swings out wide near the outside wall. Down low comes Breeze, just trying to take a peek. This may be the time to go, to say to himself, it's time to go and test the water and see how strong exactly Carlson is. Right now, he's just content to ride there for the moment directly behind him. try to grab the top spot. He just can't get quite the muscle to pull alongside at the stripe. If he could do that when he got back on the other end of the racetrack, he could possibly slip and snag the top spot away. Off turn number 2, still the traffic forms the lap machine, currently second in the Remax standings coming into today's race. Had some suspension problems, had to pit under green and stayed behind the wall for a lengthy amount of time. One car up and out of the groove, which is Eddie Hoffman. Out of harm's way, though. The cars will bypass him to the inside of the racetrack. He's off the pace to turn number 1. The 86 of Pete Moore slow along the inside wall as well. He could be coming to pit road. Looks like he is. But Hoffman's slow on the racetrack. He's now finally trying to get out of the traffic so he can get back to the bottom and not have to worry about the traffic bypassing him. He's pitting on the backstretch side of the pit area. He's slowing dramatically. Spall checks up. He almost got into the wall, but now comes to the attention of his crew. A right front tire is down on the automobile and having to pit with 20 laps to go. Off turn number 4, caution on the racetrack. Trouble along the front straightaway. Johnny Spall, who got into Eddie Hoffman just a couple laps prior. Pace car dives for pit road, about set for the restart with 5 laps to go. Steve Carlson leads, time to get down to business one more time. Up through the gearbox and gone like a jackrabbit is Carlson to turn number 1. Pulls away by 3 car lengths over Ron Breeze Jr. He's got his hands full. He has to worry about Travis Cavapo closing in from behind. Carlson off turn number 4 on the bottom of the Speedway. Now just 4 laps to go here at Rockford in the National Short Track. At turn number 3, drives in deep. That's why he comes within 2 car lengths of the back bumper of Carlson, but now down the straightaway, loses ground. Back to turn number 1, one machine up into the wall and brushing the concrete is Hoffman, but he'll keep it off the concrete to avoid grinding up against it, and will remain under green. White flag goes in the air. One more circuit around for Steve Carlson. He tiptoes back to turn number 1. Off the corner, now down to the inside of the racetrack like he's done all afternoon, occupying the bottom of the Speedway through 3 and 4, and for the 7th time in his career here in the Remax Challenge Series and at Rockford Speedway in the National Short Track Championship, Steve Carlson is a winner, and he's done it the last 3 years. He's won it back-to-back 3 times.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Steve Carlson. Oh, I forgot you in driver introductions, but I sure didn't forget you when it come to victory lane. Good job, man.
Yeah, thank you. We had a good car. I think, you know, that Ron's coming. Last spring he was right there, you know, and without that last caution, I think he might have ended differently because he was pretty quick.
Prior to that last caution, he made a couple looks at you down on the inside. Did you know he was there?
I sure did, and I was glad to see that caution.
You got a good jump on that last restart.
Yeah, that's what pretty much got me that win. And I was kind of hoping that would do that.
Hoppy has problems. The first problems he's had really in 2 years. His first non-top 10 in 2 years. Good point lead now going into lacrosse as you look for your 6th career championship.
Yeah, you know, usually Brian's bad luck is 5th place. My bad luck is like 50th. So he was way overdue for some bad luck, and we'll see what happens 2 weeks from now.
6 in a row here at the Rockford Speedway, all under the NASCAR Remax Challenge Series banner. I gotta ask you, how you doing it, man?
I don't know. I just drive hard and try to be careful, and I don't know.
Well, you're doing something right. How about a nice round of applause for Steve Carlson, the winner of today's American TV 400, presented by Jensen Audio. We move over to Ron Breeze Jr. You're looking pretty good after 400 laps there, young man.
Yeah, I tell you what, this car was great. I mean, it took about 10 laps for the thing to get good, but when it was good, it was awesome, right on the bottom. If that caution wouldn't have come out, we would have been sitting in victory lane. I mean, the thing was just awesome. But, you know, the caution came, and he got the jump on me on the start. You know, he's got a lot of experience on me, and so that's the way it goes. Another second, we'll get him next year.
Towards the end there, just prior to that last caution, you looked underneath him a couple times. Did you think you were going to get a good run at him?
Yeah, I was pretty sure. He was drifting up in the center of the corner. might have been getting a little loose too, and so it was just a matter of time. I was just kind of waiting for my moment, and if we had to, we might have helped him a little. But I'd like to thank my sponsors, EWT here in Rockford. They stick by me through the years, and I really appreciate it. And Honeywell for coming on board. It was a good race. We'll get them next time.
A second here in spring, a second here in fall. Got to ask you about that last restart. It looks like Carlson got the jump on you a little bit.
Yeah, he just got the jump on me. You're supposed to start at the line, and he got a little ahead of it, and I wasn't expecting it. I would have done the same thing. So I mean, he's a good driver, and that's why I won.
Sounds good. Ron Breeze Jr., your second place finisher. Finishes second here in the spring. Comes back with the second in the fall. Now we move over to third place finisher Travis Quapple. Get a word with him in just a second. Travis, Bud Pole finish, or Bud Pole fast qualifier. Come back with a third place run. Not a bad weekend.
Not too bad. I thought we had a little bit better car in practice. We tightened it up just a little bit before the race, and I want to take care of the rear tires, and I guess we tightened it up just a little bit too much. I couldn't get through the middle as good as Steve or Ron, and third's a good day.
One of those in-car cameras with Speed Vision riding along with you. Did you give it a good ride?
I hope so. I'm sure all they saw was knuckles and elbows.
Alrighty, sounds good. Your third place finisher, Travis Quap.